Well, I've been meaning to make this video for about a month now, and as we are currently, at the time of recording, the afternoon of the 31st of December, getting ready for a very non-eventful New Year's Eve. So I thought I'd spend just a little while with you for this video, just to look back through the last year at some of my favourite images and other bits and pieces that I've done through the year, which have been a lot of fun. It's been a momentous year. Obviously, the exhibition being a huge part of it, which in some ways drove my images, but also restricted the development of my work and my brand, as it could be phrased. So with no pressure coming up in 2020, apart from keeping the bank balance in a positive state of affairs, that I haven't got that pressing pressure to produce a massive work by a certain date. Everything's gonna be week to week, day by day, and just go on from there. So yeah, this year it's been fantastic, really. Both here on YouTube, I've made huge leaps forward in producing videos, getting the channel to a more sizable audience. Unfortunately, I would like to have dedicated more time and produced videos through the year, but a lot of the time I've had to rely on the live streams being my weekly contribution to YouTube and the way to grow the business, grow the channel. So going forward, I'm hopefully going to be making more videos as defined videos rather than purely relying on live streams, because they are easier. So if there's one change that I would like to make going into the new year, is to have more videos ready to go, and proper scheduling as well would be great. But that's to come. We are looking back. A great highlight from this year was the exhibition. It was a huge honour to be asked to exhibit, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Easily a highlight of my life. Not just to see my work on walls, but to have people travelling so far to come and see it. And I had the pleasure of meeting up with a lot of those people that came so far, and the support was fantastic. The support from the gallery was great as well. Thanks to Dale and Penny and everybody at the gallery for being so great with us over the summer, and everybody that came along to it, just brilliant. Really appreciative, and for those few that bought pieces, I will be thoroughly grateful for the rest of my days. You certainly made a difference this year. One massive thing that happened during the year which made a huge difference to the channel and to my viewing figures, and being able to make this YouTube channel start bringing in a little bit of money, was the fantastic exposure that Thomas Heaton gave to us when I featured in one of his videos back in June, I think it was. The exposure that he brought to me, it's almost scary. I looked on his channel the other day, and the video that I was in, there's been 100,000 views of it, and that's just pretty freaky to me, for somebody that, until he came along and kindly put us on screen and put my work over, that I had just crossed the 1,000 subscriber mark, and here I am. Here 6 months later, I'm on 5,500 subscribers, which is fantastic, especially for a channel that's as niche as mine within the photography sphere. It is very niche when we're talking about landscape photography. Never mind, the full various styles of photography. So my channel's never going to be huge, but that little bit of help has been massive to me. And to get that first paycheck from YouTube, no matter how small it is. It's a big moment, and did I treat myself to anything? I can't remember if I did, but anyways, it was very it was nice to get. Just got to keep on making videos and making them as good as I can, and then hopefully I can get a second payday from YouTube. I'm not making these videos all about making money. It's to support a lifestyle that I am lucky enough to lead, with few pressures out there from family or having to provide for others. Then I can kind of take things easier than your general 40-odd-year-old bloke that's probably got 3 kids and a missus and a mortgage to pay. So there's been a couple of notable things this year, and I think that's on a personal level, to do with my work. Those have been big changes and big benefits to me and how I'm approaching myself, my business, my work. So going forward, I'm just going to keep on doing that. Do expect to see a few more products from me coming forward. Just before Christmas, my car did die on me. The engine or something blew on it on the way down the road to see the new Star Wars film, and therefore I am now not quite carless, but I am having to share. So it's not ideal for getting out and about. So I am in a bit of a hurry to get a replacement car in the coming couple of months. So do be prepared. There might be a bit of selling going on this channel for the next few weeks. So that's enough of me blabbing. We'll get on with looking at my favourite images from the year. So the first one up is an image I made at Lindisfarne of the Priory Church ruins. Quite a distinctive view as you look from the eastern elevation, and this was made on the morning that I spent with Thomas Heaton. It's quite surprising when even though you're out there showing people how you do your work, or just having a crack alongside them. The way I work, I'm just flailing the camera around, picking up all this imagery and data, and obviously putting it all together later on. But I made a rake of images that morning, and there was a couple of others that may well have made it into my top 9, but this one had something slightly different feel to it, which I was quite happy with. To me, it just looked a little bit more aged. If you can imagine what the ruins might have been like, say, in the mid 1700s, something like that, where there wasn't as much development around it, and a bit more tumble down, a bit more of a romantic ruin, not some commercialised National Trust thing that it is now. Very, late 1700s, early 1800s, that kind of feel of things, before the ruins fell down a little bit more than what they are at the minute. Right, the next one we've got up is that this one is from Manchester. One of the benefits of having this style of photography is that it's rather different, and therefore you get invited to do camera club talks, which is lovely to do, because it generally gets me outside of Northumberland. So I get the odd day out here and there, and back in May I was over in Manchester for a talk. I got a guided tour around the main city centre, which was lovely to see. Nice to see the city. I'd never been before, and whilst it was surrounded by big, huge, tall blocks of flats and new development, very high skyline going up at the minute, one building that I did find that I could play with and have a bit of confidence of working with was the town hall, or city hall, or whatever it's called, and it's an old Gothic Victorian building currently under renovation, and due to what the area that it's in, it's very busy. There was lots of cars and vans, and in fact it was the Manchester City celebration day where they were parading the whatever cup they won last year. So there was lots going on, very busy, and I managed to get rid of all that and just retain that element of the like the main tower of the town hall, and got some lovely tones out of it as well. So really pleased with that one. Next one, this one actually featured in a video earlier this year, and this is from Smellhome Tower up in the Scottish borders. I'd gone up there specifically to try to make work for the exhibition, and got a good few images from it. Images I really liked. So and this one being very much a highlight. There's not a lot to say about it. I mean, you can see that the tower is very much there on the left hand side. I was trying to be I was being inspired by Turner's work of Northumberland Castle. He did a very late work that he did late in his life. That's very, it's very soft, very light. It's like a sunrise. So I was kind of taking that as an inspiration for this. So that bright patch in the middle was enhanced to kind of push that vision across of a lovely calming light being cast over, the valley that Smellhome Tower looks over. So yeah, that's that one. Next one again is Smellhome Tower, but different set of data, completely different way of working with the images, much more abstract, and really just latching on to shapes and lines as the image was put together. And what I found that in the centre of the frame there, those light flecks to me started to look like rolling waves. And obviously you've got the tower on the left hand side, and if there's that rolling waves in a really horrible dark looking sky, and in my mind I was thinking, well, if you got waves that far inland and that high, because the Smellhome Tower is pretty high, it's not the world isn't going to be in a good state. So I actually named this image the Great Flood. Because we wouldn't, if the world flooded to this high, we would be utterly screwed. So you can use elements like that to drive your work forward as well. But mainly you've got to have a good imagination. The next two we've got is actually of Dunstanburgh Castle. Now, for weeks, early in the year, into spring, I was going to Dunstanburgh many times because I wanted a good Dunstanburgh image for the exhibition. Luckily it's not far from home. It's a 20-minute drive, a longer walk to get there, but I had a good few trips there, just trying to make new work, and something distinctive and something very much me. I've tried and tried. Several trips went by to the point where I was almost giving up or just accepting a poor substitute to go in the exhibition. And then one day when I wasn't concentrating on making images, I'd gone along for a YouTube meetup with fellow YouTubers, Paul Thompson, David Byrne, John Haswell was organising it, and there was Julian Elliott was there as well. People like that. Good meetup, good crack. And I made a couple of images just whilst everybody's talking. The waves were breaking nicely on the rocks in front of us. Flailing the camera away as normal, collecting lots and lots of data, and lots to take home and process. And one of the shots I got with this was, and I just loved that almost pinkish, yellowish cloud in the sky, which isn't actually a cloud, but it gives that impression, and you can just make out the castle on the horizon line. A nice panoramic kind of crop as well to accentuate those. Really nice, really calming, and it was a lovely day and great crack to be out with the lads as well. So that was the first Dunstanburgh one, and the next one was this one. which is probably my favourite of the two. This one did make it into the main exhibition, so that was good. And this one, I actually did some weird and wonderful colour grading trickery on this to try to age it back to and base it on a Turner painting. I actually stole the colour grading from a Turner painting and laid it onto this, so the whites and the darks would kind of have the similar tones, and it worked out quite well. Again, I'm really using the sea spray as it broke on the rocks in front of us, and all this was going on, and all the lads were, having a good blather behind us, and there's me on my knees, wafting the camera away, capturing all this data. But yeah, really pleased how this came together. Nice tight crop again, and just loving all that energy in the front of the frame, and just enough distinctive detail of the castle in the background so you can actually tell where it is. I do like to have something there where you can tell what it is, no matter how abstract I get. So the next one is another image from a video earlier in the year. This was on the way to another camera club talk, going over to Cumbria for a talk at Lazenby, and on the way I called in at on Hadrian's Wall to Sycamore Gap. Now, I'd shot at Sycamore Gap and ICM in my very early ICM days, back in 2014, I think it was the last time I was there, and I loved my images from, certainly one image from back then, but I hadn't been back since. So I wanted to go back in with another 5 years experience and knowledge and different processing abilities and knowledge. And during editing, everything was a bit bland and a bit meh. So decided to do my own inverting trick. So the lights become dark and the darks become light, and it just gave me a completely different take on this scene. And then spinning a second exposure around on top of it, really created some lovely tones. Nice contrast between deep reds right through to the lovely just off yellows, and then the bright white tree. Really loved it. Came together really nicely, and it's actually a 4x3 crop, which is very rare for me, but I think there is another one coming, so but it's still a rare for me. This one is another shot from Lindisfarne, and this is definitely in my top probably my favourite 4 images of the year. It's a one I've gone to several times to, I've pushed it out as a wallpaper for my Patreon subscribers. It was in my calendar. I think it's on my website, depends on how I've updated it recently. It's a one that was very much front and centre in the exhibition as well. Absolutely love it. It does hark back to my previous life of minimalist black and white images I used to make back in the day, and I just loved how it just everything's isolated, but you've got that leading line in, curving in from the front of the image, leading into that very minimalist view of the castle. Loved it. So the next one is quite a bit of a darker image, quite a bit of a darker image, and this is one you haven't actually seen yet because I haven't edited the video. This was made back in mid-November at Edlingham Castle, which is just near Alnwick, which is I'm about 10 miles away from it. Nice little spot, a place where I've never really succeeded in getting a decent image from before, but again, it was a nice day after weeks of dull days, so there was some nice casting light lighting up the side of the building or the ruins, and being able to work with that imagery and then bringing it back and using the old tricks of turning things upside down and you've gone from an image, a bog standard image of a blurry looking ruined building, to the way the dioxin have interacted with the lights, that we now have what I see is a storm passing over, where the rain, which is on the left hand side falling, is catching that light that's coming from the west. Just you gotta let your imagination run wild a little bit when you're making these images. Tell a little bit of a story, just to make it that a little bit extra special. It was some dodgy data to work with, hence it being quite dark. So there's lots of balancing acts to do. So I'm trying desperately not to get too much banding in the image. So I kind of lifted the blacks, so there's no pure black in this image. So it's more of an off grey kind of thing. So it's a lot of it's about problem solving when I'm making these images, because you will get a lot of problems as data blends together. It can get a bit tricky. So the final one, and my favourite image of the year, and it actually came about in a live stream, just off the straight out of the imagination, out of the data that was in front of us. I did feel at the time it was some nice data that might be nice to work with and easy to work with, and I actually sat on it for maybe a month or more before I actually got around to processing any of it, and it just came together so nicely during the live stream, and it was so made in just over an hour. Nice easy image that it just flowed. It just came about and got some lovely textures in there. Nice smooth serene feeling. Absolutely loved it. Obviously the sunset kind of colours that were around at the time aids the image. Had I done this in the middle of the day, I wouldn't have gotten this calm serenic feeling. It would have been much more contrasty, and it would have ended up being a completely different image. So I just loved this. A narrower crop again, slightly more panoramic. To be honest, I had 5 crops of this image, and I'm happy with all of them. So even some with more sky, more foreground, because the foreground kind of resembles the shiny, newly washed over beach by the sea. I've got a couple of square crops that are quite different, but both work well as well. Just really, really nice, simple image that just works, and I just love the way it also just blends away into faded, no distinctive lines on the left hand side as well. Just a lovely, lovely image that I'm really, really pleased with. So hopefully you are too. So as the time's ticking on, this video could well be a long one, and I apologise for that one. But there's a bit to get through. 10 images, a few thoughts on the year beforehand. So hopefully you've stuck with us. Certainly, thank you very much for sticking with us through the year. 2019's been a momentous one. I think odd number years to me have been quite life-changing as we've gone through the decade. But I am planning on doing a video very shortly on the change from me in 2010 to me at the beginning of 2020, because photographically it's pretty different, obviously. So hopefully you'll stick around for that. So if you've enjoyed it and you want to follow along, please do subscribe if you're not already. You can find me on most Tuesday evenings live on YouTube for my live streams, 7:30 UK time. It'd be great to see you around for them. And if not, give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and all that. All the links will be down below. And I'll just wish you all a very merry... No, we've already done Christmas. A very happy new year for 2020. And I hope to see a lot of you out there, on maybe up here in Northumberland. If you are ever up here, give us a shout. Always a pleasure to see people coming and enjoying the area. So that'll do for today before I hit the time when the camera runs out. And yeah, keep hard, behave yourself in 2020, and until the next time, see ya.